going on, guys? It's me, Rain. We're back here with another how-to install on our Honda Civic. We got a big box today. So today, shout out to Yonaka and Street Imports. Got us another big box of goodies. Today we're doing a long tube header. We did do a B series swap. B series specifically, this part number, B series. So 16, B18, B20, works for them all. It's going to be the 4-to-1, and instead of looking at a picture, ooh. Nice. Oh, jeez. Glad that was on camera. I almost threw those everywhere. Ooh. Alright, that's now officially the nicest thing I own. But now the gorgeous part. Ooh. That's awesome. How's that hold on? It's just magic. Oh god, that scared the hell out of me. One in. Wow. Alright guys, so just got her unboxed. This is going to be the Yonaka 4-to-1 header for the B series. It comes with everything you need. So it's going to be a new donut gasket down there. And then this is going to be your new manifold gasket to the head. Now this thing actually has some pretty good welds. Thick flanges. They've done a little bit of cleaning up in the ports. And it's actually a thicker gauge. I have an eBay one and it is paper thin. This thing's quite a bit more beefy. I do have an imitation one currently, and the issue I have with it is the length is way too low. I did wrap it, spent a good amount of time wrapping that thing, making it look good. It hangs so low that I keep bottoming out, and I've now caved in the two primary tubes for cylinders 3 and 4, and that's pretty lame. My wrap has unraveled because I've torn it all to pieces. So, good upgrade. This is a little bit shorter than my imitation one, so we should have more ground clearance. My exhaust won't hang as low. Huge benefit there. And it comes with your bracket to support it on the rear of the engine near the firewall. And it comes with a place for your O2 already downstream. And the good thing about these, especially since it's a little bit of a thicker wall, if you do need to weld in an O2 somewhere for whatever reason, or wideband somewhere along the length of the tubes, it is actually quite a bit easier to weld into these ones. I know these paper thin ones from eBay, you're just going to burn through, it's not going to look good, but these ones, a little bit thicker, so should handle really well. That's some beautiful quality. Comes with all the gaskets you need, and stickers, and swag. License plate cover is going to need that. All in all, super impressed. This thing is gorgeous. This thing's going to sound great, and it looks even better. And I honestly don't even think I'm going to wrap this one. We're going to jump right into it. All the tools that we're going to need. This super easy job. Maybe about an hour to do. So you don't need a whole lot to do this job. You're going to need a jack and jack stands or ramps. Then you're just going to need some basic hand tools like ratchets and sockets. Specifically a 10, 12, 13, possibly a 14 mil. You're going to need a wrench. I like the 12 mil ratcheting wrench. That helps for the center bolt here for the exhaust manifold. And then you're going to need a torque wrench. And then you're going to want some emery cloth and or a razor blade to scrape off the old gasket material. That's pretty much it. I've gone ahead and chalked my wheels, lifted it up, and I have it on 2 jack stands here. So we have access under the car. And the first thing I take off is this rear flange here. Now from factory, you're going to have a donut gasket, as well as some spring bolts. And if you're anywhere in North America, these spring bolts, I can guarantee are going to snap. So if you're going to be doing this, I would either recommend swapping to some normal bolts, or getting some replacement spring bolts. That is something that you're going to run into if you do not have replacements and that snaps. You're either stuck with an open header for an exhaust, or you're stuck having to run to a parts store to get replacements. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. So I like to rip those off first, get our exhaust system separated. This is exactly why we're replacing this header. She sits a little too low and likes to hit things. And second off, on this cheap header, you should have a bracket here, and you're going to have either 1 or 2 12mm bolts. And because this was such a cheap one, this didn't fit properly. There should be a bracket that hangs down here, right behind the oil pan, lines up to that, and you'll bolt it together. This did not line up, so I had to take that bracket off. So on the future, if you have a stock exhaust, if you have a name brand header, then this will line up and you can use this. So in my case, I didn't have to worry about these, but that's going to be the second set of bolts you'll have to remove, and those should be 12 mils. And then the final bolts you'll have to take off are these top ones here. And when you're removing, there is no specific order for removing these bolts. You can take them off in whatever way. And then once you get the last bolt off, you can just pop your header off and drop it down. And you will be able to, especially if you have AC, you can get this out in one piece. You can just drop it down on one side, slide it through the bottom, and you're free. And we just have some cleaning up we can do, and I can show you guys in a second how to do that. And we're pretty much set. We can go ahead and throw the new one in. Now you can see if you've had any exhaust leaks, they're going to show up as this black soot coming out. So we definitely had some exhaust leak on cylinder 2. It's not the end of the world. We will have to clean that up. I'll show you guys in a second. That's the old header off. Let's go get the new one and compare. So there's a few subtle differences. You can see that the Yonaka is shorter overall, whereas this one's a little bit longer. Then at the very bottom you can see there's going to be this tab that bolts onto the little bracket on the rear of your engine. On the cheap eBay ones, I've almost never seen one of these line up. They're pretty much flat and vertical, whereas the Yonaka one, you can see it has a little bit of a tweak to it from factory, and that's the exact one that you need. So now the next step, we're going to go ahead and go to the cylinder head, and we have to make sure that it's nice and clean for our new gasket, and then we can go ahead and slam this back in. So this would be the good opportunity to clean as your header is still out of the vehicle. So this is the style of collector that this comes with. It's going to be called the donut gasket. As you can see, it looks like a donut. Sits onto the header here like this, and you can see that this is concave. You can see it's supposed to mate up here. However, these tend to get real dirty. A lot of the donut gasket, especially on mild out exhaust systems, this is going to be packed full of crap. So your exhaust pipe here, I find it's pretty easy if you get a screwdriver and just scrape it out a bit. This doesn't have to be perfect seal. These donut gaskets are very forgiving. So give it a good scrape out, maybe some paper towel or a rag, wipe it down. You just want it to be nice and smooth. I'm not going to bother with this because I don't even know why we have this. Now, there's two ways you can go clean it up. You can use a little razor like this or a Scotch-Brite. If you have a lot of buildup, you're going to want to use a razor. Use some gloves. Keep it at a nice shallow angle. You just skim it like this. That's only to get the thick material off. You're going to want to use some Scotch-Brite, whether it's the green or the red stuff. Take your Scotch-Brite, start scuffing. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but the sealing surface is going to be right around the outside here, where it's shiny now. But it doesn't have to be perfect, you just gotta make sure that there's no loose crud on there. Pretty straightforward, nice and easy. It's a lot easier with no studs and when it's out of the car, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up off camera, because that's a bit of a hustle. Now you want to make sure when you are cleaning off the surface here, that you do put the dipstick back in. You can see all the little crap that fell off as I was giving it a little Scotch-Brite. And you don't want that going straight in your oil pan. Actually, turns out this one looks like it tucks in a lot closer as well, so that's also good. Once you get up here, hang a few nuts on, make sure it won't fall off. Get them all started, get it up nice and snug, and then we're going to tighten from the middle out. We're going to go 3 stages, so 1 finger tight, make sure it's sitting flat. 1, we're going to snug them up with a ratchet, and then the 3rd one, we're going to go and torque them all. So let's get that done. So we got them all finger tight, so now we're going to snug them up with a ratchet. We aren't going tight here, we're just going snug until it's fully seated against that gasket. We are going to be torquing it. It's going to be 23 foot-pounds or 276 inch-pounds. Once you have them all torqued, it's not a bad idea to go over them just to double check, make sure that they're all tight again. As far as this goes, there should be a bracket that comes down here. You're going to have the 2 bolts that go through here into the other bracket. These are going to be 12 mils, and it should tuck up just behind here. And then your O2 if needed. If you're not using an O2, you want to make sure you crank this down because this will come loose, vibrate, and fall off. So make sure you tighten that up if you're not running an O2 sensor. This would be the time you slip in your donut gasket. Then you'd connect your 2 halves here, tighten it down, and you are done. Again, you're going to be using those spring bolts. I believe they're 10, 12, or 14 millimeters. My setup, I do have an intermediate flange that I need to put in here, and we're going to be using a flat gasket, simply due to the exhaust system we're running. This is how you guys would go ahead and do it. Throw your gasket in, line it up, tighten it down, and you're good to go. When you are putting this donut gasket in, you do not need to use a sealant. This is meant to deform inside of this concave flange when you bolt them together. So you do not need to add goop. Very important, do not need to add goop. Now before you drop the whole vehicle down once you're done installing, it is a good idea to double check all your bolts, make sure they're all tight. Make sure you have this bracket underneath bolted up. If you bolt it up and don't give it a chance to warm up, you can run your hand underneath nice and quick, feeling for leaks. Be very careful, within seconds these will get very, very hot. So just do a quick pass along the top, above the exhaust manifold, you'll feel it, you'll know if it's leaking. Crawl underneath, double check the collector gasket, make sure you're good there, and then done and good to go. So once again guys, the Yonaka B series header 4-to-1 YMEHOO4. Super easy, super straightforward, 1-hour job. And if you're going from a stock manifold to this header, it's gonna sound pretty good. You're gonna hear a little bit more noise in the engine bay, but it sounds like a race car. That's what we're all looking for, isn't it? So thank you again to Street Imports and to Yonaka. We're one step closer to a nice car. Long ways to go, but we're one step closer. Thanks for watching, guys.